So for today's assignment, we are going to go into more detail about the keyboard function of this studio, Soundtrap. I talked with a few of you today, those of you who came pick up your instrument, and the biggest thing that I got was this is kind of confusing. From what I gather, hopefully you guys are having fun with this. Certainly the students that came and picked up their instruments had fun with this. And by the way, if you didn't get your instrument, I'll make another day. Just reach out to me, okay? And I'll open up the school and I'll let you in. Otherwise, you can call the school and see if Dr. Harvey's there. He might can let you in as well. Okay, but for those of you that came, we spoke and you mentioned that this was fun and interesting, but the instructions were so kind of confusing. So I just want to clarify the last assignment. Just have fun with it, create something, and just kind of get your hands dirty with it. It doesn't need to be like a 10-minute long thing. You could literally do like a 10 to 15-second clip of just a few tracks with you goofing around. It doesn't have to sound great. Just play around with it. Now, this is going to be specific. So for this lesson, I need you to do a specific thing for me, okay? You're going to go into Enter Studio. And you're going to go to Music. Okay? Same thing. Go to Add New Track. And last time we did piano and keyboard to start with, but some of you may have already played with it, but you have a strings option. So the keyboard will still be used for the strings option, but hey, we're orchestra, so let's use strings. Okay, so don't worry about this stuff up here unless you really want to play with it. But again, I just want to remind you, you can choose the octave here. The octave is how high or low you are. So if you're a cello and you want to hear the lower sounds, right off the bat, what we have here is fine. But if you're a violin or a viola and you want to hear some of the higher sounds, you can play up here. So what I want to do is just explain the keyboard. If you play piano, this already seems familiar. But if you don't play piano, you're like, well, this is not my instrument and this is kind of difficult. I just want to explain. Notice you have a letter in a box and a letter up here that has a number next to it. What I want to do is explain first what these boxes are. This is your keyboard. So C, V, B, and N. Obviously, we don't have an N and an M note. But if you press them on your keyboard, you actually should see C, V, B, N, M, comma, period, all one after the other. Right? You'll notice that's actually most of the C major scale. And if you play, you can actually play around on your keyboard and go ahead and try this. You can actually make a melody. Right? And just by playing around on your keyboard, you can already make something that sounds pretty good. So, but for right now, what I want you to do is you're going to record either using the keyboard or clicking on the keys a C major scale. The C major scale is if you just click all of the white keys. These black keys represent sharps and flats. If you just press the white keys, they represent your C major scale, all notes being natural, if you remember that. So we'll go to record, and what we're going to do is we're actually going to, since the tempo is 120, we're going to hold out each note for 4 beats, okay? So just do it just like me. 1, 2, ready, and click, click. And then when you're done, you can actually just press space bar and that will get rid of everything for you. Or stop the recording process, or you can come back here and press that. So what I want you to do now is you're going to click here. Now you see the keyboard right here. You see we started at C2 and we ended at C3. This is a 1 octave C major scale. Okay, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. You can actually see the whole steps and the half steps. The whole steps are where you have a space between the notes, right? So what you'll do to make sure it's perfectly in time, this is something called quantize. go to quantize, and quantizing, it actually makes the note fit perfectly to the beat. So in recording, this is really important. What I want you to do, since we did it in whole notes, we're going to go quantize. And by the way, you right click, in case I didn't mention that, you right click, quantize, go to 1-1, and you should have seen these notes move over and they'll actually line up. Okay. And what I just did was I clicked and dragged them over just to make them fill out the note. You don't have to do that. So we have our C major scale. Okay, so with our C major scale, you're going to leave that there, and we'll go to add new track, and we're going to talk a little bit about the drum and beats a little bit. So if you were to do this scale with the other, with the synthesizer, strings, brass, piano, guitar, and bass, it works the same way. The keyboard, if you just press all the white keys, you're in C major. But if you want to experiment with the black keys, that's totally up to you. But for right now, just stick with C major, and we'll do the other keys later, okay? So just to get some information on drum and beats, click drum and beats, and you'll see kick, snare, and hi-hat, right? So each of these represents one count. So 1, 2, 3, 4. These are quarter notes right here, right? So that's a quarter note, that's a quarter note, that's a quarter note, that's a quarter note. Remember, quarter notes are on the beat, okay? So now we're getting into ear training. So if I were to do this, see how it lines up perfectly with the metronome? Now, who remembers eighth notes? Remember, eighth notes get 2 per beat, right? So what if I went kick, snare? This will sound kind of goofy. If I went kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, snare, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and eighth notes, sounds like this. A little bit goofy. Now, if I go even further, these are, in fact, let's keep these. If I go even further, we go to 16th notes, right? 1 and a 2 and a. I think we got to that. I know we got to that in 8th and 7th. I think we talked about it in 6th grade. But either way, if you fill up all these boxes for the hi-hat, if it looks just like this, in fact, while you do this, you can just have one browser up and watch the video and just copy this, right? Quarters, 8th notes, 16th notes. It'll sound like this. All right, now you got a little bit of a beat going. So again, if I copy and I go to here, the quick way to paste is for Mac is Control V. If you look at your PC, it'll tell you. So just for ease, I'm going to go, or Command V, sorry. Go to Command V, and I'll just do that. I got something that sounds like this. Oops. Again, if this thing gets in your way, and it will, it's one thing I don't like about this browser. Just click here, and it goes away. Right? That was a little bit interesting, but hey. So I hope that clears up some stuff. This should not be frustrating. I want this to be fun. So if it's confusing, stick with the white keys. If you play piano, you can venture off and do your black key thing, but we'll talk about black keys in a different lesson. And, one bar region. Usually if you press fix and quantize, it's a good thing. So go ahead and do that if it asks you. Let's add some reverb. There we go. Obviously, you can play around with the machines if you want, get different sounds. The last thing we'll do is we'll talk about the voice and microphone function. Okay? So, click that. And it'll ask you to access your microphone if you have a computer, or if you are on an Apple device and you have headphones that have recording capability, that'll work too. Press allow, and it'll actually look for your device. The device is right here, right? So I have an audio interface. Don't worry about what that is. I'm going to use this, but use your internal microphone if you don't have an external microphone. I have an external, so I'm going to use this, but you guys can use this. Okay. So this is going to be really cringy, but if I press start recording, I'll make sure it's back there, and always make sure you're starting at the beginning with the cursor. If I press start recording, it'll ask you if I'm using headphones. If you're not using headphones, you can get some feedback. Feedback is where the microphone is picking up on your speakers. So for this, I don't know if they have some weird processing. I would recommend going and grabbing some headphones, okay? You don't have to do this, but I want you to experiment. If you do, put some headphones on and click I'm using headphones. And just to help you not blow your ears out, hey, try a smart test. Check 1, check 2, check 1, check 2. Cool. And it even added some reverb. Check 1, check 2, la 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 la. All right, and you can actually try singing and not doing something weird like that. But if I got rid of that. Check 1, check 2, la 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 la. Right. So imagine you can actually play your cello, violin, viola over this. I should go and do that. But you could literally bring your instrument up here with your microphone and play into your computer. And you know what? In fact, I will do that. All right. So if you press start recording, it does everything for you, but you can also click up here and arms it, and you can record it manually from here if you don't want to hear the echo. But otherwise, you can just press start recording. So yeah, I'm gonna click this now. So we've talked about the white keys being C major, and all you got to do is click each key. We talked about quarters, eighths, 16th notes, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 1 and a. And then we talked about recording your voice or your instrument. So with these three things, there's all kinds of music you can make. If this helps you create a better piece and you want to resubmit for the prior assignment, that's totally fine. I'll take multiple submissions. If you can make a better piece and you want me to hear it and you're excited about it, I'll definitely listen to it. So what I want you to do, just do this exactly as I did. If you don't want to record your instrument, if you don't have it, I'm not going to make you record your voice if you really don't want to. But I encourage you to check it out and experiment. So that'll wrap up today's lesson. Go ahead and send me C major scale and then your note subdivisions. And if you feel like it, you can go ahead and play something over here. And just send me exactly that. And that's your next grade. All right, guys. Hope you're doing good. And I'm going to sign off. Thanks and bye.